G'day and welcome to another tutorial for Visions of Chaos. This tutorial is all going to be about the AnimateDiff prompt travel mode in Visions of Chaos. AnimateDiff prompt travel creates movies such as the one playing now. I'll be covering all the various settings and include some tips and tricks to help you create your own movies. So if you've had problems with it or just curious, here we go. Okay, so when you first start the AnimateDiff prompt travel mode, you get the settings dialog. For this first test, I will leave all the settings at the defaults, but I will reduce the frames down to 100 just to make it a little bit quicker. And we click generate. Visions of Chaos will then run the script within a command prompt window. And it shows a bunch of stats as it goes along. So if anything goes wrong, there should be an error message saying why. I'll just let this go through and finish now. After you press any key to continue, it will automatically open the target folder where you can load the movie from. So here is a result for those default settings. For the text prompt that creates the movie, that is specified up here under the prompt map. You can see here it's only got the single prompt fractals, which was used to make the movie we just played. And the 0 here at the start means it sets that prompt from frame 0, or the first frame. Since that there is only this single prompt, that same prompt is used throughout the entire 100 frames of the movie. You will also see there's various options for scheduler and motion module. You can try combinations of these and they will all give you different results. Just to give you an idea of the changes that the scheduler and motion module can make, here are 3 other examples that I just changed the scheduler and motion module randomly. So if your first example doesn't look like you'd like, try those other 2 settings, try random combinations, and see what they do for you. Okay, the next setting is the motion LoRa. Motion LoRas are small models which control the virtual camera. You can do things like panning, rolling, tilting, and zooming. Default is to zoom in, which I did with that last movie, but let's try another one just as a test. Let's try rolling clockwise. I'll just generate this one and be back when it's done. And once all that finishes, this is the result. And so you can see there's a slight clockwise rotation to that as it plays. So you can try those other movements, panning, tilting, zooming. If you prefer not to have any of those settings, select the first empty entry and none of them will affect the movie. Okay, the next setting I'm going to cover is the checkpoints down here. Checkpoints are also a bunch of different models that all give different looking results. So once again, if your initial result doesn't look like something you like, you can always try these other models here and see what they do. Just as a demo, here are another 3 different movies, which all I changed was the checkpoint to different models. So you can try changing the checkpoints as well to get unique results. The seed setting is a random seed that allows reproducible results. If you run the same settings with the same seed, you will always get the same output. If you find you like your settings but want some slight variety to the output, try and change your seed and you should get slight tweaks to your results. You can just hit the random button and that will give you a unique seed to try. Guidance scale and steps change how much the prompt and models are applied. Usually these defaults are fine, and personally I've never had to change them and use other values, so those defaults should be fine for you too. A quick tip here: if you're experimenting with changing values, save your settings first and only change one at a time, then test. This allows you to roll back to your saved settings if a change messes up the results. And if you change multiple settings at a time, it is difficult to work out which one really made a change or ruined a setup you really liked. So use the save button down here and you can save your settings and load them again with the open button. Preset resolutions allows you to render larger size movies. You can also specify a specific width and height here. These models require the width and height be evenly divisible by 64. So if your values are not divisible by 64, then they'll be auto-adjusted for you. So if you see your 1080 size jump to 1088, you now know why that happens. The total frames is how many frames you want the movie to have. More frames means a longer duration final movie and more calculation time to create. And the output format allows you to select either an animated GIF or a MP4 movie format. Now let's have a look at multiple prompts. The initial default uses a single prompt fractals for the entire movie, although you do not have to use only one prompt. For a good example, let's load up an example file which I include with Visions of Chaos. We'll load flowers. You can see that this movie will be 320 total frames, and it changes the prompt every 64 frames here. And the default size is also set to 832 by 384. So let's generate these settings. And once that's done, here is the result. It goes through the roses, gerbras, tulips, daisies, and daffodils. And you'll also notice that the movies that this script creates loop seamlessly as well. And so after the daffodils, it loops around again back to the roses and through the movie again. So that's how you can change your prompt during a movie. Just add your new prompts up here. And I do have some other sample files that you can have a look at. Just click open and you can use those as a starting point if you need to. The next setting we'll look at is the head and tail prompt. The head prompt allows you to specify a prompt that goes before each of the main prompts here. And tail prompt allows you to set a prompt that gets appended or added to the end of each of the main prompts. So as a test, say that we wanted more of a cartoon look to our movie. We can simply just add up here a cartoon animation of... So as these prompts are used, instead of just being roses, gerberas, etc., they will now be a cartoon animation of roses, a cartoon animation of gerberas. I'm going to set this back to MP4. Okay, I'll render this and I'll be back when it's done. And this is the result of adding that head prompt. We get more of a cartoon animation look. Even throws in a cartoon face there. So that shows how you can change an entire movie look by using the head prompt. The next feature we're going to look at is the negative prompt. The negative prompt allows you to specify a feature you don't want in your final movie. So for example, say that we didn't like all those really intense colors we got and we would like more subdued colors. Well, within the negative prompt, we can put prompts like bright colors, intense colors, and we'll see how that affects the movie. And this is a result of using those negative prompts. The colors are much less vibrant this time. And so that's a simple example of how you can use the negative prompt to help reduce colors. Other options there, we might have included red maybe, because the red seemed really intense. But yeah, you can always experiment with other prompts if your initial negative prompts aren't strong enough. Another quick tip about the import SRT button. SRT files are a standard subtitle format. If you have the words to a song you like in SRT format, you can import them here, and Visions of Cast will automatically set the start times for each line. You can then render the visuals and combine the song audio with the AnimateDiff movie and have your own music video for your favourite songs. To avoid a copyright strike, I won't share any of them in this tutorial, but on my Discord, myself and other users have experimented with a few songs there. The batch button allows you to batch a series of settings files hands-free. So if you have a few movies you want to render overnight, you can batch them in here and just let it run hands-free. The next setting we're going to look at is style LoRAs. Style LoRAs are small model files that help give your movie a certain look. For this example, I'm going to reload the flowers file, so the settings are now back to the defaults without the head prompt, tail prompt, or negative prompt. If you click the Add LoRA button, you will see a list of the 56 style LoRAs that I include with Visions of Chaos. For this, let's try the watercolor style. And once you pick a style LoRA, it will show in this list here. And there's also a pop-up here to give you some tips. Style LoRAs have a keyword which you should use as your tail prompt. The keyword always follows the underscore character, and so in this case it's watercolor. Copy and paste that into the tail prompt. And you don't have to copy the .safe tensors because that's the model file extension. And so once you've got your style LoRA selected here and the keyword set as your tail prompt, you can generate that. We'll just change this back to MP4 and we'll see the change that makes. And this is a result of using that watercolor style LoRA. It's like a watercolor painting animated. Really nice result. Okay, let's try another style LoRa. Just get rid of that one, get rid of the keyword. This time let's try Salvador Dali for some hopeful surrealism. And so the keyword here is Dali 69. Copy paste that into the tail, and off we go. And here's the result of using the Salvador Dali style LoRa. There might be more Dali and less flowers in this one, so we might tweak the weights. In order to control the amount of influence the style LoRas have, they each have a weight value. The weight values have a default of 1.0 and are shown at the end of the style LoRa name. If you want the style LoRa to have less of an influence, you lower the weight. If you want it to have more of an influence, you can increase the weight. Most of the style LoRas work fine with the default of 1.0, but some may need a lower or higher weight depending on the model, your prompts, and other settings. So for that last movie, I would like to see more flowers and less of the Dali. So let's just try bumping this down to, say, 0.6 rather than 1.0. Let's have a look at that. So this is now the result after lowering the Salvador Dali style LoRa weight down to 0.6. The flowers are much more prevalent in the movie now. And so that shows how the weight is a good way to tweak the influence of style LoRas to your final movie. Next up is multiple style LoRas. One nice feature of the style LoRas is that you do not have to use one at a time. You can combine two or more. So as an example of this, let's keep the Salvador Dali style because I like that one, and let's add another one. What about splashes of color? Now I'll put the Dali weight back to 1.0 now. And so since there are now the two style LoRas, you have to copy both their keywords into the tail prompt. Okay, and let's render that and now see how both of those combined affect the outcome. So using both of those style LoRas, it gives us this completely different result now. Okay, my microphone ran out of battery, but this is the settings of this next example. And this is the result of those two style LoRas. Let's try one more. Okay, both of these style LoRAs should give us nice thick impasto brushstrokes with a lot of colour. So let's give that one a go. And those two style LoRAs definitely led to heavy, thick impasto paint strokes and colour, like a palette knife painting. Maybe a little bit too strong on the weights there and the influence. But yeah, another good example. Okay, and the final topic I want to cover in this tutorial is the Stylizer video button. Stylizer video extracts the frames from a video and processes the frames with the current AnimateDiff prompt travel settings. As an example, I've got some example settings here. There's 3 for Disney, Pixar, and a Van Gogh style. So if we take this woman running video as input, this is the Disney result. This is the Pixar result. And this is the Van Gogh result. So that about covers all of the AnimateDiff prompt travel settings. I hope you've learnt something, so jump into Visions of Chaos and try out all these combinations of settings and prompts and models and checkpoints and see what you can do. And a special thanks goes out to my awesome patrons that help and encourage the further development of Visions of Chaos. Patrons who pay $5 a month get early access to the new versions and bug fixes before the general public as a thanks. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching.